Craig, at your place on Wednesday against South Dakota State, they come out hot. They hit 4 out of their first 5. Mike Daum scores 5 straight points. What's your level of concern at that point?
I'm very poised about it. I mean, that's kind of what they do. I mean, obviously they're top 10 in the country in scoring and hit a couple on us that were tough shots. We gave them one, I felt like, and they hit 3 threes in that first, minute 50 or whatever it was. And you get a game like that, an environment like that, and sometimes it just takes a little bit to kind of settle in, right? And certainly it didn't take them long to settle in. but it just, I don't know. I had a good feeling about that game all week. I had a good feeling about our team, and you just got to have poise and just keep going. And obviously we ran a play for Mooney and he hit a 3, so that was 6-3, and then they hit another one. But from that point on, I thought we really settled in and played well on both ends of the floor.
Well, yeah, they just go 8 of 24 for the rest of the first half. Meanwhile, you're off on a 14-0 run and really take control of the game.
We did. We did an excellent job with our defensive game plan. It is so difficult to prepare for them. They just put you in so many tough spots with their personnel, with their scheme, with all those different things. And they're going to make you're not going to shut everything down. And so you got to figure out what's tangible, what can we really execute, and what can we make happen. And then on the flip side, I thought we really shared the ball on offense. We only had 7 turnovers for the game. It reminded me of a Big Ten game. Mm-hmm. I mean, there wasn't many fouls called. The players were deciding the game, but I just thought we really shared it, really moved it, took great shots all night, and certainly we made some. We made 10 threes, which is above our normal average, and they still made 11, but we were able to kind of neutralize that. But a big stat I thought in that first half, Jeff, was just we didn't give up one offensive rebound.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
And that's almost, I mean, just think about whether it's high school, college, NEI, D1, NBA. I mean, that's unheard of. And that just, I give our guys a lot of credit for cleaning up the glass and then really neutralizing them in transition because they can get it going in a hurry.
And South Dakota State talked after the game about being impatient on offense, and I'm wondering how much of that was your defense disrupting what they were trying to do? How much of that was the environment, and how much of that led to the fact that they were taking impatient shots, and so they weren't in position to get those offensive rebounds?
Yeah, it's always a fine line. I feel like that's really a fine line, because when you're making them, then then it's not being impatient, right? You just took good shots, and so it's always but maybe a little bit of both. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I saw a lot of shots that they typically shoot. And maybe make. But all I know is I was really, I mean, certainly, you play a 40-minute game, you're never going to be perfect. But all in all, I really loved how we defended and we were just very sound, And sometimes you're playing those kind of games. Well, not sometimes. When you play in those kind of games, it's not a matter of, I'll use a baseball cliche, but it's not a matter of how many home runs you hit. It's how many singles and doubles that you can get. And those highlight reel plays don't always, it's just being sound, the plays that nobody talks about. And we were just so steady for especially the last 38 minutes.
So you're up 6 at the half, and certainly it's anybody's game at that point given their ability to score the basketball. But then you reel off an 18-3 run early in the second half, and that just sends that atmosphere even more through the roof at that point.
It did. We after getting down early, we battled back and kind of went back and forth, and I thought we had a few empty possessions on offense, and then they went on a mini 5-0 run, and we called timeout at probably around the 7-minute mark, and then we were able to really surge that last 7 minutes of the first half, and then coming out of halftime is always a pivotal moment in every game, and we were able to kind of seize the opportunity. Both teams kind of went back and forth, not really doing a lot, and then boom, we put it on them, and it happened quick, it felt like, and so and it was really everybody, as a coach, I did something I really haven't done in my career over 6.5 years, where we basically played Matt Mooney, Tristan Simpson, Tyler Peterson, and Trey Birch Manning the whole second half, and then Tyler Hagedorn, of course, started it, and then Fuller came in, and we kind of played small ball, and then I never took Fuller out, and it wasn't really an indictment against our bench. It was just those guys were playing so well it was hard to take them out. And in a game like that, we're not used to being in front of 5,200 fans at our home court, and just the energy and the electricity, that makes a huge difference. And in the Big Ten has led the country in attendance for over 30 years, and for like over the last 20 years, and I could be off by a little bit on this, but the Big Ten has also led the country in conference home winning percentage within conference play. Well, to me, I draw 2 and 2 together, and fan support makes a difference. And the energy was contagious, and our guys, I thought, really fed off of that, and we were able to finish off the game.
And then Mooney and Simpson combined for 50 points. They get 8 of your 10 threes, and, I mean, why would you take those guys out?
Yeah, I mean, and they're both defending very well, but Mooney just had that look in his eye. He made his first shot, and he was really, really good in practice leading up to that. I think what's crazy is our sports information director, Ryan Hilgeman, told me that that was the most threes he's ever made in a game, which sounded a little crazy to me, but but he goes 4 for 8 and 4 for 5 from the line, on a very efficient night with 4 assists. And then Simpson obviously goes 4 for 7 from the 3 and has 20 for us on 8 for 15 shooting. But just go right. I mean, I thought Peterson was huge, 5 for 6 from the field, 3 for 4 from the free throw line for 14 points, and just really spearheaded the charge. And then Nick Fuller again with 11 points for us. So we were really efficient, really shared the ball well. We was really cutting hard and looking for each other. And I thought early, probably midway through the first half, maybe a little after that, Mooney had he had a good back cut and got the ball and could have probably went up for a tough layup or tough finish. And he saw Simpson drift into the corner, and he hit Simpson for a standstill wide open 3. And Tristan nailed it. And I thought that kind of summarized our night on the offensive end, where we passed up a good look for a great look. And when your leading scorer makes that play, I think that really feeds I think the rest of the guys really feed off of that.
And it was the most threes you'd taken in a game since the UCLA game, and that was different because you needed those threes to come back from a big hole. But was it a point of emphasis going in, or is it just what you had available to you that night?
No, it was just what was available. They kind of they go under a lot of ball screens. It's partially how they play defense. It wasn't one of those things where, like, hey, guys, we're just always big, just like our style of play. Some nights you're going to win big, or not win. Some nights the score is going to be a high-scoring game. Some nights it's going to be a lower possession game. And I felt like the tempo was going to be higher. We want to play. I mean, we're not afraid of getting up and down. I know everyone says that, we're number one defensive team and all that. Well, you can still be a great defensive team by getting up and down. And so I thought our guys really took what the defense gave them. I thought we took rhythm shots. I'm not, the second half in particular, I can really only remember 1, maybe 2. You could argue the second one that we took a bad shot, and the first one was kind of a heat check for Mooney, where he caught it. He was open. He was about 24 feet out, and he missed it. And it was a bit of a heat check, and sometimes that happens. So loved our shot selection, loved how we played, and certainly it showed with us shooting in particular in the second half, 60.6% and shooting 50% for the game.
So you finish the first half 6-1, then you turn around, you go to Denver for the first game of the second half on Saturday. Any level of concern, Craig, heading into this game that your kids had just come off a very, very emotional victory? Was there concern about them being flat in this game?
Oh, absolutely. We said it to the guys after the game, certainly the 2 days leading up, and I said it in the press conference after, and I know it's a cliche, but you come off that kind of an emotional win against the rival, and the way we lost last year in the conference tournament, and over 5,000 people at home, and we played really, really well. And when you play your rival as a coach, you're always really concerned about the game before and the game after, just because you don't want to be overlooking your opponent, no matter who it is, for that game. And then after, win or lose, there's always a bit of a hangover, and that's not an excuse. You get to the point you can talk about it ad nauseum, but players got to perform, and it's on me as the head coach to have them ready to play. And I thought Denver played fantastic.
Yeah.
They played probably their best game of the year. Denver going into the game is playing their best basketball of the year, without a question. And they made us pay for all of our mistakes. I thought we defended at a not at the level that we're capable of, certainly. We allowed a team to shoot 55%, and you're not going to win games when you do that. We shot 39%, which is not a good number, but we've this year and last year we've won a bunch of games. I shouldn't say a bunch, but we've won more than a handful of games shooting 39%. And so, but at the same time, we missed a lot of chip shots. I counted 12 missed layups. Some were contested, but they're still, and then 15 points, just point-blank shots in the paint. Well, if you make 10 of those, that's 20 points right there. So, but when you miss those shots, that to me is, what's your mindset, right? Are you ready to compete? Mm-hmm. And then you defend at that level. And so at the end of the day, it's on me because we weren't ready to compete. In our league and in our level, there's such a fine line between winning and losing. And when you don't show up ready to roll, this game can be really humbling. And we were humbled on Saturday night.
And Joe Rosga just went off in that first half.
Yeah, he had 13 straight to start the game. Yeah. And, Rosga is very, very good. He was a preseason all-league guy. He can get it going a lot of different ways. Fortunately for us, and I think a big reason we've had success against Denver, winning 3 in a row against them, is we've done a very good job on Rosga. But certainly he got going, and he got a couple easy looks early, and we've all been there. When you see the ball go in the hole early, shooting is contagious. Good shooting is contagious. Poor shooting is contagious, and he was able to get 2 or 3 clean looks early, and then, boy, I've seen it on film a lot. He starts feeling it, and he got it rolling, and then Pemberton saw the ball go through the hole, and he started feeling it, and then you got Amigo in there, and they're a good team for a reason, and then poor shooting's contagious too. They get up 20-3, and we're missing this shot, and we're missing that shot, and we're all looking around, dazed and confused, and taking some quick ones, and for as good as we shot it against South Dakota State, in particular the second half, was as poor as we played, and some of that was Denver, but some of that was self-inflicted.
And you don't get outshot at the free throw line very often. You and I always seem to talk about free throws every week, but you did get outshot at the free throw line in that game, and that is one of your most important stats.
Yeah, I mean we're 8th in the country in free throws made, and I think 16th now in free throws attempted, and that just shows you that's another indicator on your level of aggression and how hard we were going to the rack, or how not hard, I guess you could say. And that was a problem for us, and we don't, that was certainly a big factor. And then we foul, and going into the game, we were number 1 in the league in that respect. And Denver was the worst in the league at getting fouled. And for them to shoot more free throws than us is just unacceptable, quite frankly.
So now you're at Western Illinois on Thursday. You got a couple of road games this week, and you got a quick turnaround between the games in Macomb and the game in Fargo. Let's talk about Western Illinois, 1-6 in the first half, but they're a much better team at home, as most teams are. They're 9-3 at home. Last in scoring, next to last in points allowed, last in rebounding. But Kobe Webster is a guy, this freshman kid, he continues to have a really nice first season.
Yeah, Webster's really good. He's a playmaking point guard. When he shoots it, it just comes off his hand so easy, and you're almost shocked when he misses it. But you're right. They're a tradition, and I haven't watched any film on them yet. I've been just trying to worry about us, but I'm going back to the last time. I know coming into our game, they were number 1 in field goal percentage, and obviously they've taken a little bit of a dip that way, but they have a lot of guys that can shoot it and get it going, but they're traditionally more of a jump shooting team, and so with that, you get a little more streaks that way. And then Gilbeck has just been a load, and we've had some problems defending their center that way, especially last year. We did a solid job on them at our place. So we're going to have to be locked in. It's life on the road. I mean, You got an 8-hour bus ride there. Whenever you're playing at Western, it's just the travel there. There's no easy way to get to Macomb. Mm-hmm. So do you fly? Do you drive? So we're driving it. And, we got to have a competitive spirit about us. And after the way we played against Denver, winning or losing will take care of itself, but we just need to show up ready to roll and play well, and then the chips will fall where they may.
One of the things you did well against them in that first meeting, you didn't shoot the ball particularly well against them, and they didn't shoot the ball well either, but your defense really forced 7 turnovers in that first half, and you got 13 more shots off than them in the first half, so you're not going to make them. You might as well take more of them, and that was one of the key reasons why you won that game.
It was. That was a rock fight. I remember that. I think it was 64-55, if I remember right.
62-50.
Okay, there we go. That's right. And we did. We defended really, really well. And I know we couldn't we couldn't make a shot, it felt like, that night. And it was just one of those nights. But we still had, sometimes when you struggle on the offensive end, it can zap your energy from the defensive end. And I was really proud. I remember telling the guys after the game, I was really proud of how we competed on the defensive end and didn't let us missing point-blank shots affect us on the other end of the floor. And that's kind of what happened against Denver in a lot of respects. And so I loved how we defended. We really stuck to our game plan. We were able to force some turnovers that led to some easy transition baskets, not a ton of them, but some of them. And it's going to have to be that kind of mindset. It seems like every time we play Western Illinois, it becomes just kind of a slugfest. Mm-hmm. They defend really, really hard. They're in your you-know-what, and they can make life really, really difficult.
And then in Fargo on Saturday, and obviously these were the guys that got you the first time around, the only loss you had in the first half of the season. And but they've been inconsistent. They've won a couple of straight. And Paul Miller, not that he needs to be any better, but in his last 2 games is shooting 60% and scored 51 points.
Yeah, they've won 2 in a row now, and it's funny the ebb and flow of season. I mean, within a season, you can lose a few and all of a sudden get a win, and that can spark you. And we're going to their place where they've traditionally been very well. We played excellent basketball up there last year to win. But they did. They played a very, very good game at our place, and that was our first game without Hurst, and we didn't respond real well. And but they shoot it well. Paul Miller that kid, he's really, really good. He can really score it, shoots a 3, excellent pull-up game, gets to the rim. He's a very unselfish guy, plays on the defensive end, does a lot of things for those guys, and he's been, in huge games. Him and A.J. Jacobson have played in a lot of meaningful games, and so that's going to be a big game, especially with us having lost to them already. And so we're going to have to play excellent basketball going in there. They are what they are. They don't deviate too much from what they do defensively and on the offensive end. So certainly that game, we got off to a great start. The first one up 15-3, and it was still kind of back and forth. And then about the last 5.5, 6 minutes of the first half, they outscored us, I believe, 21-5 or something like that. And we did a horrendous job getting back on defense. And number 22, he's a redshirt freshman. I think he had 35 on us.
Yeah, Cameron had 21 of his 35 in the second half.
Yeah, he just got loose on us, and so between him and Miller, they were a 2-man wrecking crew that night. And so we're going to have to do a better job guarding their perimeter guys, and they can really get it going. They really shoot the 3 well, and they always have 4 guys out there that can knock them down, and sometimes 5. So we're going to have to really be on point defensively.
So not only is this a tough road trip just because you got 2 in a row, but just the question of a couple of games and a couple of days and a lot of distance in between. This particularly seems like a challenging trip.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been in the league for 4 years now. I've never seen the Western Illinois, North Dakota State road trip.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting pairing. But you know what? We can't control all that. All we can do is control what we do, and we have to get better this week. We went from playing one of our best games of the year to one of our worst games in the year, and certainly you're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. And we got to find the middle ground there and go to work these, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and have great practices and get better, and see what happens on Thursday, because it's going to be this road trip is going to really test our character and our talent, and we're going to have to play very good basketball to come out of here the way we want to.